In this video, we'll discuss the 8-5-3 chord, or the accord, in 18th century Germany. I just want to show you what the original treatise looks like given in volume 2.1. Here's how it looks. There's the original exercise with his original figurine, and then I have added a blank stave above so that you can practice writing out your realizations. What I'd like to focus on in this video, however, is volume 3.1, which gives editorial suggestions for beginners. What I've done is I've given, in many cases, the starting harmony as well as the upper voice. All that remains for you to do is to add the remaining middle voices. I've also added an analysis of the bass scale degrees in accordance with 18th century norms. You'll notice that all occurrences of Roman numerals in this treatise, in this edition, they're editorial and they refer to keys, not to chords. So C major is the key of the first degree. Later on, when the exercises begin to modulate, we will keep track of those key areas by saying that, for instance, if we modulate to the dominant, that'll be the key of the fifth degree. So how do you begin realizing this material? I already said that the beginning is given for you. We have a third and an octave and a fifth over the bass. The first chord is complete. What you have to do here is know that 5-3 in the next chord, in the next measure, requires the addition of the octave. So we already have the 5. We need the third and the octave. And we add these in close position. That means as close as possible to the given editorial upper voice so that you can grab them easily in the right hand. Then we see here there is nothing written, so we know that we have to add 8-5-3, the root position triad with doubled bass. And we do that by seeing what we have already, namely the third, and we add the octave and the fifth as well. Next we see that we have the fifth, we add the third and the octave. We see that we have the third, we add the octave and the fifth, and we see here that we have the fifth, so we add the third and the octave. Here's what the first exercise sounds like. And when you practice these, I recommend that you use what was called the ordinary touch in the 18th century, namely an articulate touch, so that you strike and release all of the notes at the same time. This is particularly helpful for beginners who don't have much experience playing the keyboard, because it saves them from having to play legato, which increasingly became the norm in the 19th century. But the earlier way of playing keyboard was the detached touch. So this is not only easier, but more historically accurate. So, slow and steady wins the race. The key is to think before you play. Don't let your fingers get ahead of your mind. Nice and slow. And of course, I'm sure you recognize the sequential nature of this exercise corresponding to the Romanesca pattern, or the Pachelbel sequence. Namely, the bass goes down a fourth, up a step, down a fourth, up a step. That's another reason that Kellner's treatise is particularly accessible for beginners, because he often uses this sequence in the first set of exercises, numbers 1 through 12, that use the accord, or the 8-5-3 chord. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Next we'll talk about the 6-3 chord,